I want you to imagine like a line,
Yeah.
like a strict, immovable boundary that separates the infinite, mind-boggling scale of the cosmic Big Bang from the wet biological reality of the brain sitting inside your own head right now.
Right, the macro and the micro.
Exactly. So you got it. Okay, now I want you to completely erase that line, just wipe it out. Because today we are venturing into a conceptual landscape where that boundary simply, it just does not exist. Welcome to the deep dive.
It is quite the journey we have ahead of us today. We're really treading into some of the most profound territories of theoretical physics and, well, biology.
We really are. We are looking at a deeply theoretical, absolutely fascinating stack of source material today, and it centers on something called the Unified Cosmological Holographic Theory.
Which is quite a mouthful.
Yeah, and a quick warning for you listening, this document is dense. It's this mind-bending blend of quantum physics, neurobiology, and ancient Eastern philosophy. We are talking about concepts like 10-dimensional vibrating cosmic fluids and 9-dimensional bubble universes.
Which can sound completely unapproachable at first glance, right? Like pure science fiction.
Totally. But our mission for you today is to break down this massive theory without getting lost in the dizzying mathematics of it all. We're going to uncover how the cosmic Big Bang and the human brain might actually be operating on the exact same structural blueprint.
It's a huge claim, but the geometry backs it up.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the most basic puzzle presented in the text. Our sources propose the existence of a cosmic fluid that has absolutely zero mass and zero gravity. How is that even physically possible?
Well, to understand that, we actually have to look at why it is strictly impossible in our normal everyday reality.
Right.
In our three-dimensional space, or 4D if you include time, the physical rules are governed by Einstein's theory of relativity. And the core of this is something called the stress-energy tensor.
The stress-energy tensor, okay.
Right, which is basically a mathematical tool that describes the density and flux of energy and momentum in space-time.
So it's the math that dictates how gravity behaves around objects.
That is the function of it, yeah. In our 3D space, gravity isn't just about how heavy a physical object is. It's about total energy.
Oh, interesting.
So even things with absolutely zero mass, like photons, particles of light, they possess energy. And because they possess energy, they warp space-time and are affected by gravity.
Like how a black hole can pull in light.
That is the literal mechanism that causes light to bend around a black hole, exactly. So in our 3D world, a fluid with zero gravity is a physical impossibility. Wherever there is energy, there is a gravitational pull.
So if it has energy, it has gravity. The two are locked together. So how do we get around that rule to find this, zero gravity fluid?
We have to shift our perspective into higher dimensions. Theoretical physics offers a concept called 5D brain world theory.
Oh, okay, 5D.
Yeah, the mathematics here suggests that our entire observable 3D universe is just a membrane, a brain floating within a larger 5-dimensional bulk space.
So think of it like a 2D sheet of paper floating in a 3D room.
That's a perfect analogy. And the fascinating part of this model is the proposition that gravity is not entirely bound to our 3D brain. It actually leaks out of our reality and dissipates into that 5D bulk space.
Wait, so gravity is bleeding out of our universe?
Yes.
That would explain why gravity is incredibly weak compared to the other fundamental forces like electromagnetism.
That is a primary motivation for the theory. Gravity is surprisingly weak, and this explains why. Now, if we follow the mathematics even further up the dimensional ladder, we arrive at 10D superstring theory.
10 dimensions. Okay, we're really going out there now.
We are. At this level of reality, the universe isn't constructed out of solid particles like protons or electrons. The fundamental building blocks are these infinitely tiny, one-dimensional vibrating loops of energy called superstrings.
Right.
And when you have an entire dimensional space completely saturated with these interconnected vibrating strings, it behaves mathematically like an ocean. The source material refers to this as a cosmic string fluid.
I have to push back here, though.
Go ahead.
Calling it a fluid feels a bit misleading. Like, if it exists in a space where gravity has leaked away and it has absolutely no physical mass, it's pure quantum information. It's like trying to imagine water without the wetness, just the concept of waves. How does an invisible, weightless fluid of pure information actually do anything?
What's fascinating here is that you shouldn't visualize it as a physical liquid that you could, scoop into a cup.
Right. No splashing.
Exactly. Think of this 10-dimensional fluid as pure, unadulterated potential. It is an infinite, weightless cosmic ocean that serves as the ultimate enclosure.
An enclosure.
Yes, it doesn't require mass or gravity because it is the foundational canvas upon which mass and gravity are eventually painted.
A canvas of pure potential. Okay, I can visualize that perfectly calm 10-dimensional cosmic ocean. But a completely calm ocean doesn't spontaneously create a universe. What actually causes that canvas to change?
So the catalyst is a mechanism known as eternal inflation, driven by quantum fluctuation.
Okay, quantum fluctuations.
Yeah, because even in a vacuum state of pure potential, energy doesn't sit perfectly at zero. The uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics dictates that there are tiny random jitters in energy.
Like static on a TV?
Kind of, yeah. And as these fundamental jitters compound over time, the 10D fluid essentially begins to churn. It boils.
So the baseline reality is naturally restless.
Restless and escalating. As the energy peaks in certain localized spots within that fluid, an event called symmetry breaking occurs.
Symmetry breaking, what does that actually look like in this context?
Imagine a perfectly sharpened pencil balancing flawlessly on its tip.
Okay.
It is perfectly symmetrical. It looks the same from every single angle. But it is intensely unstable. The moment a tiny vibration knocks it off balance, it falls and points in one specific direction. The symmetry is broken.
Ah, I see.
In the 10D fluid, when energy peaks, the local environment loses its symmetrical balance. It undergoes a massive phase transition. A microscopic spot cools down, selects a specific set of physical laws, expands rapidly, and inflates into a new bubble.
And the text calls these 9-dimensional or 4-dimensional bubble universes. So our entire universe, like everything we can see with the James Webb Telescope, every galaxy is just one of these tiny bubbles that cooled and expanded out of the 10D fluid.
That is the implication, yes. And because this baseline fluid is constantly churning with quantum fluctuations, inflation is eternal.
So it never stops.
Never. Countless other bubbles are forming. This is the mechanism behind the multiverse. But importantly, this is a chaotic, crowded environment. These massive bubble universes expand, and as they do, they collide.
Man, if two entire universes smash into each other, that has to generate an incomprehensible amount of raw energy.
The scale of energy is staggering. The theoretical framework describes the aftermath of these collisions as a massive cosmic engine.
A cosmic engine.
When the bubbles collide, the resulting raw mass and chaotic energy are dragged down a central axis by immense gravitational forces. The sources label this central processor the Great Attractor.
The Great Attractor. Sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It really does. It acts as a colossal cosmic funnel. It pulls everything inward, compresses it under unimaginable pressure, and refines that chaotic energy into organized photon bundles. Light energy.
So it's a universal refinery.
Precisely. But once that raw energy is refined into light and information, it requires a distribution mechanism. To see what that looks like, the sources point us to the Laniakea supercluster.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
It does.
For those who might not know, Laniakea is the massive galaxy supercluster that our Milky Way belongs to. But if you look at a 3D structural map of Laniakea, it doesn't look like a random scattering of stars.
Not at all.
It looks like a vast network of branching filaments. It looks exactly like a giant nervous system.
The visual similarity is striking. The theory argues this branching network serves to distribute the refined energy from the Great Attractor throughout the cosmos.
So we have a central processor pulling in raw data, refining it, and pumping it out through branching filaments. That is the exact definition of a macro brain.
And the source material insists this is not a poetic metaphor. It is a physical, structural reality governed by holographic principles, where the macro scale must inherently reflect the micro scale. But to keep a massive processing system like that functional, it needs protection from the chaotic energy outside of it.
And that introduces what the text calls the space-time crystals.
Yes. At the far borders of the Laniakea supercluster, the theory points to the existence of quantum gatekeepers. Space-time crystals, or time crystals, are a relatively new phase of matter in physics.
Right.
A normal crystal, like a diamond or a grain of salt, is defined by a repeating pattern of atoms in physical space. But time crystals, however, have a structure that repeats in time.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around a pattern repeating in time. How does that physically work?
Their quantum state oscillates continuously. They tick like a clock, moving between different states in a perpetual repeating rhythm, and they do this in their lowest energy state.
Meaning what? Exactly.
Meaning they don't lose any energy to the environment, they just keep ticking forever. In the context of this cosmological theory, these time crystals act as one-way temporal valves at the edge of the galactic network.
Temporal valves.
Their rhythmic pulsing allows the refined energy from our universe to cycle outward, but they slam shut to prevent the chaotic, toxic void energy of the multiverse from leaking back in.
Okay, so if the universe is utilizing a rhythmic, pulsing fluid and localized valves to filter out toxins and protect its processing core, it naturally makes me wonder if biological systems evolve to mimic that exact same defense mechanism. What does the fluid inside our own heads do?
We see an incredible mirror of these physics when we examine cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF.
Right.
This is the clear fluid that completely encases the human brain and the spinal cord.
And the physics at play inside your skull right now are mind-blowing. An average adult human brain weighs about 1,400 grams. If your brain were just resting on the base of your skull, it would be so heavy that it would compress and literally crush its own blood vessels.
Yeah, exactly.
You would die almost instantly from the sheer weight of your own mind.
The fact that you don't is entirely due to the physical mechanics of the CSF.
Because of buoyancy.
Yes.
The brain is fully submerged in this fluid. The net weight of your brain drops from 1,400 grams to something like 50 grams. It is essentially defying gravity. The cerebrospinal fluid is recreating that zero-gravity, weightless environment of the 10D cosmic space right inside your head.
The parallel extends to the movement of the fluid as well.
Yeah.
The 10D cosmic fluid is not static, it churns and vibrates.
Right, the boiling we talked about.
Exactly. The CSF is similarly dynamic. It operates on a vibrational frequency known as the craniosacral rhythm.
So it's not just sitting there like water in a bowl.
Far from it. Alongside your heartbeat and your respiratory rhythm, the CSF pulses. It is continuously pumped through the ventricles of the brain, and its primary function mirrors those cosmic time crystals filtering out the void.
How so?
When you enter deep sleep, this pulsing rhythm actively flushes out metabolic waste and neurotoxins that accumulate during waking hours. Specifically, it clears out proteins like amyloid beta, which are heavily linked to Alzheimer's and cognitive decline.
Think about that. Tonight, when you go to sleep, the fluid in your head will act like a rhythmic cosmic ocean, literally fighting gravity and washing away biological toxins to keep your personal universe functional. It is protecting the brain, which our source material explicitly calls a quantum multiverse processor.
The structural echoes are profound. We must acknowledge that the physical components of cerebrospinal fluid, the water molecules, the glucose, the dissolved proteins, they are fundamentally three-dimensional matter. They possess mass.
Of course.
But the geometric function of the fluid, suspending a hyper-complex processing network within a weightless, protective, vibrating enclosure, is an exact micro-holographic manifestation of the 10D cosmic fluid sustaining bubble universes.
Okay, so we've established that both the massive cosmic fluid and the microscopic brain fluid are constantly pulsing and vibrating to maintain order. But what initiated the pulse in the first place? Going back to our earlier analogy, the pencil doesn't fall unless something vibrates the table. What provided the initial spark?
To locate that spark, we have to examine the state of the fluid before any vibration has been introduced. In the cosmological model, the unvibrated 10D fluid exists in a state of pure potentiality. It is a vacuum state singularity.
Right.
It is an environment where nothing has yet occurred, but the potential for everything exists.
And in biology, an environment of pure potentiality waiting for a catalyst is an unfertilized egg.
The comparison is highly accurate. Prior to fertilization, the human egg exists in a state of biological and electrical stillness. But at the exact moment a sperm penetrates the egg, an astonishing physical reaction occurs that researchers have successfully captured on camera.
I watched the footage of this while reading the sources, and it is unreal. It's called the zinc spark. At the exact moment of conception, billions of zinc atoms that were stored inside the egg violently explode outward, emitting a microscopic flash of actual light. It looks exactly like a supernova.
This is where the unified cosmological holographic theory takes a massive conceptual leap. The text refers to this external catalyzing force as the Adi Pranan, or the primordial kinetic vector.
The Adi Pranan, okay.
And the underlying principle here is scale invariance within 10-dimensional geometry.
Let's clarify what scale invariance means. Are you saying that physical size literally does not matter? That to the underlying architecture of reality, a microscopic zinc spark creating a biological life and a cosmic Big Bang creating a galaxy are geometrically indistinguishable?
If we connect this to the mathematical framework they are presenting, yes.
Wow.
At a 10-dimensional level, the concepts of microscopic and macroscopic are irrelevant human constructs. There is only geometry and energy transfer. The external force, whether it is the unknown trigger of the cosmic Big Bang or the sperm piercing the unvibrated fluid of the egg, it forces a massive phase transition.
It shatters the symmetry.
Exactly. The event unfurls higher dimensions and instantly initiates a brand new four-dimensional timeline, creating what physicists call a new world tube. The fundamental geometry of the ignition event is completely identical.
So conception is a literal biological Big Bang that completely redefines how you look at human life.
It really does.
But it brings up a huge logical question. If our personal Big Bang happened at the moment of our conception with that zinc flash, did the spark simply die out once we began to grow? Or is the fire of that initial bang still burning inside our bodies right now?
The scientific data points toward the fire still burning.
Really?
We can turn to the bioelectric research of developmental biologists like Michael Levin. His lab has demonstrated that incredibly complex voltage gradients, electrical fields exist within an embryo long before any physical organs like a heart or a brain even begin to form.
So the electrical blueprint is hovering there before the biological house is ever built.
The electricity dictates the biology. And as the human organism develops into a fully formed adult, that primordial electrical spark centralizes. If you map the precise geometric center of the adult human brain, you find two vital structures, the thalamus and the pineal gland.
The direct core of the processor.
And housed within this central core are specialized clusters of cells known as pacemaker neurons. Now, the vast majority of neurons in your brain fire because they receive an external chemical or electrical signal from a neighboring cell. It's a complex chain reaction.
Right, cascade of signals.
But the pacemaker neurons in the thalamus are different. They intrinsically oscillate on their own, consistently firing at a frequency of 8 to 12 hertz, which correlates to human alpha brainwaves.
It's like a tuning fork suspended in a vacuum, just eternally holding the bass frequency for the rest of the brain's orchestra to tune to. They don't need any external fuel to keep pulsing.
They maintain the rhythm autonomously. And that central, unceasing vibration is the mechanical pump that drives the craniosacral rhythm of the cerebrospinal fluid we discussed earlier.
Oh, that connects it all together.
It does. But according to the holographic framework we are unpacking, it serves a much more profound function. That self-sustaining vibration operates as a singularity anchor.
A singularity anchor. How does the theory define that?
It posits that this central humming frequency physically tethers your biological body to your specific 4D timeline. It anchors your consciousness across your past, your present, and your future.
That's heavy.
As long as that central cluster of neurons vibrates at that frequency, you remain anchored to this localized reality. When that biological anchor finally detaches and the vibration ceases, the timeline ends. That is what we experience as death.
If the thalamus is the vibrating singularity anchor, keeping the micro-universe of the human brain tethered to reality, what acts as the anchor for the macro-universe?
The cosmological equivalent identified in the text is dark energy, sometimes referred to as zero-point energy.
Okay, dark energy.
It operates as the holographic axis of the entire expanding universe. It is a constant underlying hum of energetic vibration that persists even in the absolute vacuum of deep space, fundamentally anchoring the geometric structure of cosmic reality.
So what does this all mean? I mean, we're using intensely modern vocabulary today, quantum phase transitions, bioelectric voltage gradients, holographic axis points, but the sources repeatedly point out that none of this is actually a new discovery, is it?
That might be the most paradigm-shifting aspect of this entire text. The synthesis of this material reveals that ancient Eastern philosophies were describing these exact same geometric realities thousands of years ago.
Which defies logic. I mean, they had no radio telescopes, they had no functional MRI machines or particle accelerators.
Yet their conceptual maps align perfectly. Consider the ancient Indian text, the Chandogya Upanishad. It outlines a principle known as Dahara Akasha.
I read the translation of that section. It essentially posits that the vast, infinite expanse of the entire external universe exists simultaneously within a microscopic space localized in the center of the human heart or body.
A perfect articulation of holographic geometry. Furthermore, the Spandakarika, a foundational text from the Kashmir Shaivism tradition, extensively explores Adispandana.
Adispandana.
This translates to the concept of the original uncaused vibration that initially birthed reality out of stillness.
Which perfectly mirrors the uncaused autonomous firing of the pacemaker neurons in the brain, as well as the initial quantum fluctuation of the 10D cosmic fluid.
The parallels are exact. Within ancient tantric lineages, we find detailed descriptions of the Mahabindu. They defined it as a dimensionless, zero-dimensional mathematical point that somehow manages to contain the entirety of all multidimensional cosmic energy.
It just continually blows my mind that ancient mystics somehow successfully mapped out 10-dimensional quantum mechanics and neurophysics. How is it possible that they arrived at the exact same structural blueprint as modern theoretical physics without any of the technology?
This raises a fundamental question about how humanity searches for objective truth. Our modern scientific paradigm relies on tools, our massive particle accelerators, and deep space observatories that are exclusively calibrated to detect and measure three-dimensional physical matter.
Right, we're only looking for physical stuff.
That limitation is exactly why astrophysics struggles so profoundly to see dark energy, or why neuroscience cannot locate the physical seat of consciousness. We are trying to use 3D tools to measure higher dimensional mechanics.
Makes sense.
But these ancient philosophical traditions didn't rely on particle physics. They focused their rigorous observation on the underlying geometry of reality and the fundamental nature of vibration itself.
They weren't looking for the material building blocks, they were mapping the math of the universe.
They understood that the center of the universe isn't a specific geographical coordinate hidden somewhere out in deep space. Because of the holographic nature of reality, every piece contains the whole. Therefore, the center of the universe is the exact same quantum geometrical point as the center of your own brain.
The Mahabindu, the thalamic pacemaker, the great attractor. They aren't just similar ideas structurally, they're the exact same geometry.
Exactly.
So, let's retrace the massive journey we've taken today. We started out in the deepest end of the theoretical cosmos, looking at a 10-dimensional, weightless fluid of pure, unmanifested potential. We watched quantum fluctuations cause it to boil, breaking symmetry and inflating 9-dimensional bubble universes. We followed the raw, chaotic energy of those colliding bubbles as it was sucked down the gravitational drain of the great attractor, refined into organized light, and pumped through the giant branching neural network of the Laniakea supercluster, all while being protected by oscillating time crystals.
We established a macro universe operating under the exact mechanical definitions of a brain.
And then we seamlessly zoomed all the way down into the physical space inside your own skull. We found the cerebrospinal fluid utilizing buoyancy to mimic that exact 10D zero-gravity environment, keeping your brain from crushing itself.
Defying gravity.
We discovered the craniosacral rhythm acting as a temporal valve, flushing out toxic amyloid beta while you sleep. We traced that biological rhythm all the way back to the brilliant zinc spark, the biological Big Bang at the moment of your conception, and realized that the primordial fire is still burning right now, anchored deeply in the intrinsically vibrating pacemaker neurons of your thalamus, tying your consciousness to your body.
The theoretical boundary separating the birth of the cosmos and the biology of human consciousness is, for all intents and purposes, entirely erased.
It is a breathtaking, almost overwhelming way to view your own existence. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final unaddressed question directly inspired by these sources. We've thoroughly established that your brain is a literal microuniverse constructed on the exact same 10-dimensional quantum geometry as the entire cosmos.
We have.
So if that is physically true when you sit in silence, close your eyes, and deeply imagine a brand new, wildly complex idea, are you just thinking? Or are you actually triggering microscopic big bangs, creating tiny, invisible bubble universes right inside your own head?
That is certainly a profound thought worth sitting with.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this incredibly mind-bending deep dive into the source material. Keep wondering, keep exploring, and we will catch you next time.